Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our returning listeners, and welcome if this is your first time listening. We're so happy to have you all with us today.
Thank you for joining us for this 9th episode of the Lion Pridecast, a podcast created by the Lansing Unified School District 469, located in Lansing, Kansas.
The purpose of this podcast is to inform our Lansing stakeholders, being our community members, students, and staff, about all things education. We are your hosts. I am Miles Azzeh, Director of Teaching and Learning in Lansing USD469.
And I am Sharon Burns, the Director of Communications and Marketing. So for this 9th episode, we're going to talk about retention and all the reasons why Lansing USD 469 is a great place to work, as Miles and I both know. I truly believe that. We are working hard on recruiting, which is incredibly important with the current teacher shortage. But we obviously want these teachers and staff in general to stay once they're here and to be happy.
Yeah. I think we did some numbers for our recruitment flyer and for your brochure that you had put last year, and you talked about that our average years of service for our staff is 13 and a half years.
Yeah.
And I think that's, while I know that we want to get better and we want to improve and focus on these things, I do think that the district and ourselves have to pat ourselves on the back that people stay that long. That's a pretty good amount of time in one
really
place. So right off the bat, that makes me happy. And then yes, climate and culture, recruitment, retention, all of that is just so important. So I'm really happy that we're dedicating an episode to that today.
Right. So one of the things we've started doing is we have started this year, thanks to our Director of Finance, Danielle Brandt. She suggested doing new teacher check-ins. So it's basically any of the new teachers, we go in, Miles and myself go in, and we just sit down with them and we take notes and we ask them some questions on ways that we could improve, like what their thoughts are. What are we doing well and what could we improve on? So we've gotten a lot of really good feedback, some things we can take back and improve on. And then also just knowing that there's areas that we really are doing right and our admin are doing right.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite thing to hear when we're talking to people. When we'd ask them a question, we'd ask a question and then wait, with bated breath, what are they about to say? What are they about to say? How is this? Or how do you feel about,
Right.
I love one of the questions, do you have somebody a trusted colleague? Or are you accepted by your peers?
Right.
It feels really good for them to be yeah, I absolutely feel like I have that. Or I have a voice. That was a really good question I thought that you put on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just to reiterate, we've said this to all the groups, but for, it's just good for everybody to know that none of this is evaluative at all, for administrators or for the people that we're doing the check-ins with. I like to think that I am, and I know you are as well, we're self-reflective people.
Right.
And I think we're just simply trying to take that and kind of almost make our system and our district that way
there's
too.
always room for improvement. And one of the things I like also just looking at something as simple as onboarding. So, some of these teachers, although they're new here, they have experience in other districts where maybe people, they had ideas that they could bring with them. And it's good to get that, have that wealth of information that we can take and then tweak and make even better.
Yeah, I know I think, I'm lucky that I had time in other districts that I've been able to use some of that experience and knowledge. I'm not allowed to speak about one of the districts that I was in before, but I was also in the Kansas City, Kansas district. There's a lot of little things I learned because there's a lot of things that we do here in Lansing that I'm not going to lie, we're lucky and we're better than other districts, hands down.
Yeah.
But there are also things that other districts have done. They just done it for years, that it would mean that we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel or come up with a whole new system. Instead, it's hey, so you're right. Hearing from somebody else of, in my old district, we actually did this. We can jot that down and frankly steal it.
Right. Well, just make it better,
Yeah.
take it and build upon it. I think that's something we're really good at doing. I agree. Something that I think Lansing is really a great place to work. One reason is because we are so small but yet we're so close to so many things like Legend Shopping, like Lawrence, Kansas. I mean, it's close, for that, especially when we're recruiting kids, people know where KU is. And we're close to Arrowhead.
I don't know if that many people know where KU. I guess they might know what it is. It's
your
people know.
Favorite place.
Yeah. So KU, yeah, for sure.
Right. But yeah, I think that's a really big selling point, something we've been able, and I know that's when we talked to the college students that's something a lot of them don't know where we are. We've talked about that in another episode. They don't know where Lansing is, but as soon as you start saying, well, we are 25 minutes from Kansas City, where there's, all the art and shopping and all that. Overland Park, there's a lot there. There's obviously a lot of Legends. And
I was impressed with Legends, the amount of people that when I said the Legends, I think there was a time where, Legends has always been pretty cool, but there was a time where I think people would be like, yeah, I think I know what that is, or I've never heard of it. Like everybody knows it.
Right.
So like, it is nice because we're pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, by the end of the recruitment fairs, I was practically saying that we were
in Legends. Yes.
But yeah, you're right. I think that we have that small town feel. I mean,
Yeah.
it is. Lansing is a smaller town, but that small vibe, but also just so close to all these great
Right.
places that a new out of college recruit would care about.
Yeah. Well, and another perk of being small is that we can, although we are close to everything, we're small enough to where you can see the superintendent at any given time in the building. They see us as directors here in the district office. The district office is very accessible here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're there to support the teachers and staff in general. And a lot of times in the bigger districts and bigger towns, you lose that just because they're, you get lost in the shuffle a little bit. You do not get lost in the shuffle here. I mean, Superintendent Wessel knows people, staff by their first name.
Yeah.
So.
And we actually had a new recruit bring that up, that he remembers everybody's first name at the first day. Like he talks to them as they walk in, and then he's able to point and get their names. They were really impressed by that. And I think that encapsulates how we are as a district of I think somebody said it recently that there's like a comfortability between staff and district office.
Right.
And we don't mean just in terms of administration and district office, but like actual teachers and any staff member. And I think that that's partially because, I think the team that we've assembled here are just accessible, nice people that it's easy to have conversations with. But I also think that it's just the fact that we're visible. I mean, I think that really what it comes down to is I try to be in the buildings as much as I can.
Yeah.
I can't get
my favorite thing, one of my favorite things, is our appreciation card day.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah. Have we talked about that on our podcast yet? I don't know if we have.
If we have, it's been real blunt.
So once a quarter, usually around once a quarter, we have these little carts. I think last time we had a couple teachers name them what the Love Train.
Ooh, the Love Train. Yeah, I missed that.
No, Woohoo cart is Leavenworth, but the Love Train Sunshine Cart.
Ooh.
So we have
like
snacks. We have usually a sweet and a salty. So we have chips and then some sort of candy bar or cookie. And then we have a drink that they can choose. And myself, Miles, and Superintendent Wessel go with the carts to we try to see every single staff member in the district. Now, obviously that doesn't happen because people are moving around, but we definitely try to go, and we'll go into the classrooms. We will watch the kids, which is always fun. Yeah. And then they get to come out and we just surprise them, and they come out and they get to pick their snack, and it's just kind of a nice little break. It's good for us to get to know people. And it's good for them just to know that they are appreciated.
Last year when we were doing this, I feel like I do a lot of things to make people feel welcomed and whether it be giving feedback or giving a really cool idea in a PLC meeting, whatever it may be. And I can't get over how many people said thank you for the appreciation tour. Like that meant so much to them. Right. And I think some people might be like, well, big deal. You gave a bag of chips and a candy bar and a soda. It's a big deal for people. Yeah. It's
always funny when they're saying, thank you. And then we're saying, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
And then 8 minutes later, they go back to class. But yeah, absolutely. And it was really cool for the staff or what I love too is when students see it. I mean, obviously they're right there. Right. And sometimes people will be like, yeah, that's awesome. And start clapping and all that. I just love it. It really
I always see the kids that are like, what about us? What about the kids?
Wait, there is a lot
of
that.
When is it kid appreciation?
Yeah.
It's every day is kid appreciation.
You get enough stuff, all right? This is for the teachers. Right. They're the ones that don't get any recognition.
No, it's cool. I mean, and we do that as a district. Appreciation is very important.
It is.
So through these appreciation carts, our board does recognition every month. At the Board of Education meeting, we have a standout student and a standout staff member that's recognized with their certificate and gets to get up and hear Superintendent Wessel talk about them, and then they get their picture taken with the board, which is cool. We have our admin, obviously, do shout outs, which we've talked about in previous episodes. And we encourage our peers to also shout out.
Absolutely. Also, selfish plug, I do my academic spotlights. Yeah. And so look at my emails and go to the website and you'll see links to the academic spotlights, not only to read them, but, invite me in. I pop into classes all the time. I love being in classes with my background as an instructional coach.
You did an excellent job with this.
Thanks. And I really enjoy doing it because we're really up to really cool stuff. Like not only the teachers, but like it's great to see students. I get to talk to them. What do you like about this? I love quoting students in those. And thank you very much for helping me get those on the website.
Oh, absolutely.
And being my accountability partner.
Right.
So
yeah, you can always do that.
But those
my favorite thing to do. Hound Miles.
You do a very good job of it. You do a good job of it. And so I think recognition and appreciation is so important for staff in terms of making them feel valued, and appreciated.
Yeah. I think another thing that we do, this is a question we got a lot from recruits during our college fairs, is how new staff are supported through PD.
Yep.
And I think that's something really cool. We have a build your own PD.
Yes.
How many days do we have that? Do we have one or two?
I believe, I want to say it's just one day, but this is the first year that every building has done it. So last year it was just the high school. It was something that Rob in the high school was doing. And I think it's a fantastic idea. And I used to do something like this previously in KCK, where they really push for you not only to like build your own PD, like learn something, but in KCK, they were very big on like, get out of the district, go somewhere else and see what somebody else is doing. So you build those networking skills. You get to go see, sometimes it's nice to go see what other people are doing. So sometimes you can reaffirm like, ooh, I am doing things pretty well actually, or like, oh, that didn't work. So let me not try that back in my class. But we do the build your own PD. I think we're working toward having more personalized PD as well, with breakout sessions for teachers, to pick from. We use a lot of our surveys that we get to staff to see what they want. And a lot of people want the same thing. A lot of people want classroom management, instructional strategy, stuff like that. And we've partnered with Greenbush to get even more of that. Really, really good PD trainers coming in and spending hours with staff and then circling and spiraling back. So I'm really proud of our administrators and our teachers for taking advantage of that.
I am too, another thing that I think is cool about our district is we do have late start Thursdays. And I know there was a little bit of pushback from some parents that were, figuring out the logistics of getting their kids. But we've been able to work that out. And I think it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. Do you want to talk about that?
I think late start PD or late start days have really been important for multiple reasons. There is an inequity when it comes to some time to dedicate towards something we call PLCs, professional learning communities at the elementary level, because of seeing the kids all day and doing specials and stuff. You just don't have as much time to get together as a team. So the mere fact that they get every Thursday morning to do those PLC, the things that should be happening in there. And it's more than just getting to meet. In fact, that's what we're really pushing for, is to get away of like, okay, so what are we working on? Or do we have like a field trip coming up? Like, that's not what PLCs are for. PLCs are when we get together, we look at things like curriculum, we look at our test scores, assessment scores, we talk about learning strategies or our lesson plans, and we really diagnose where we are and evaluate, and then make those instructional shifts. And without having that dedicated time once a week, we would miss that. It's also been fantastic that I've been able to do ongoing PD with like resources or companies that were like, well, you've been using our product for 2 years. We'd love to give you some deeper PD. And teachers are like, oh, I'd love that too. I just schedule it Thursday from 8 to 9 and it's on Zoom, and 35 teachers can Zoom in, and I get an email like, thank you. I had no idea that we had all these capabilities in this one resource. It's like, there you go. We would have had to wait 2 months to our next PD day, or I could schedule it next Thursday. So it's really, really important that we have that, in my opinion. It helps teachers, really solidify what they're doing and grow. It just gives us that extra
confidence
time.
too.
Absolutely.
And that's how students benefit from that all around, for sure. Another thing I like about our district, and I think I might have talked about this in another episode, was just how much the community supports the school district. You really feel that.
I want you to talk about that one a little bit more.
Well, my kids have been here for a while, and I think, you feel that from, you go to a football game, you have we're packed. Everybody, you just have that sense of community. And again, that goes back to that small town. It's a cool, wonderful thing. It's a great place to raise your kids.
I would hope so, since you raised them all here.
Yes,
right?
My kids are fantastic.
You're
welcome.
Brooks,
Brian, Cam.
There we go. I was going to say, you better say all of them.
I will.
Leave one of them out. It's like, oh, you don't think I'm fantastic, Mom? Community has been amazing here. And we've even heard like administrators say that about how important it is for them to have that community. And actually, even recently with a couple recruits that we've had, they've asked, like, what kind of role does the community play in
it? They do ask that,
and I was proud of them for that question. And it feels great to be able to say like a vital role.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Oh,
they're
no, for
very
sure.
supportive. Going back from switching from community back to the classroom or back to the teachers, I think it'd be good. No. And so I hope you don't mind me going back to it, just because I want to miss this, because I think it's important, is to talk a little bit about self-care. And how important, and I think, like, even right now, somebody from the district office / principals, we've talked about this, just how important it is for self-care for teachers, because if they don't practice that, or if we don't give them the opportunity, or if we keep adding and new initiative after new initiative, what ends up happening is they never get to have that self-care time for themselves.
And they get burnt out.
Yeah.
You're seeing that. I mean,
yeah, I think we're seeing that across the country.
Right.
And so, I mean, we're trying to be cognizant of, leaders, I heard a quote, leaders create the weather, and I think it's great to just encourage staff sometimes of, like, it's Friday. Sure, you didn't get every single thing graded or whatever, but you know what? It's all going to be here on Monday.
Right.
Like, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Take a deep breath, put your legs up this weekend, have a cold beverage if that's what you want to do, or whatever you do. Watch the Chiefs and pull your hair out like I do, and just relax, because it'll all still be here on Monday.
Yeah.
So I feel like our administrators really buy into that. So that's another reason I think that we do a pretty good job with retention, leading to the 13 and a half years.
It's hugely important.
Yeah.
Right. That's something we should be talking to our recruits about too.
I think you're right.
We don't hit on that enough, but that we do put value on that.
Yeah, I think it would be good if we put more. Exactly. And I don't think they know what that means yet, though. Like, God bless them. Like, I think that, like, they're just like, oh yeah, that's great. And then
they are college students, though. We said it right now during finals.
Yeah, they'd probably be like, oh yeah, thank you, I need that right now. So, Sharon, I think that that's a perfect way to wrap up this episode of the Lion Podcast. What about you?
I think so.
I do declare. As always, for more updates and stories on Lansing USD469, you can visit us at www.usd469.net.
And if you don't already have it, download the free Lansing USD469 mobile app on Android and Apple. The app allows you to be the first to know all of the fantastic things happening in our district, all those appreciation tours and all those things. You can be notified that they have happened. And
academic spotlights. Future snow days. Got to bring up the snow days.
Bring up the snow days.
If you like our content and want to stay up to date on the latest episodes, please follow us wherever you are listening to us and leave a review to help others find us and learn more about our great district. Yes, we are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Castbox. Right. All right. I'm going to try to dodge that Castbox lawsuit, and I'll just say, okay. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please send us an email at sharon.burns@usd469.net. Yes, and I am excited to say our next episode is going to have a little surprise coming up. Little something extra next episode to start us off. So just be listening. Yeah, it's our little tease. That's literally starting us off. All right. I love it. So, and that is a wrap on number 9. Woo! Thanks, everybody. Bye.